discussing, have you had the opportunity to discuss with some potential funders, like face to face? What's the feedback you've been getting?
We've gotten a lot of we're sorry, we're sorry, we're sorry. We're sorry, we apologize. Due to the volume of applications. We're sorry we could not offer you a place. I mean, it's very distressing.
Yeah.
But one startup, is a startup Abuja, they told us, so we're in. They wanted to
Beyond the middle.
Hello, welcome to Beyond the Middle. In today's episode, we're sitting down with Stephanie Adejoke Alabi Henry, Executive Director at LearnBridge Africa. Thanks a lot for being here with us today, Stephanie. How are you?
I'm very well, Robertson. Thank you for having me. It's a real pleasure to be on the show. I'm glad that we're finally doing this. Thank you.
Thanks to you. I got to know your company when doing some research online to educational startups in Nigeria. One of the reasons why I was looking into that is for a very long time, there has been a lot of criticism about traditional education, but maybe not as many people looking into how to improve that traditional education. And so I always try and discuss with people like you who are trying to actually get into the field and improve things. So maybe to start, one question to get a direct idea of what your vision is for LearnBridge Africa. One thing I would ask is, let's say the company ended, God forbid, but let's say the company ended today. What do you think is the main issue being solved in the educational sector that your clients would be missing?
Okay, so I'll give you three situations or scenarios. So when parents come to LBA, first off, of course, we've told them, we are a brand that exists to give quality education to children living abroad. You can say, they're already abroad. Isn't that setting better than the one we have here? But when you're in Nigeria and in Africa, you have the Japa syndrome, right? People are living in droves. There is a migration issue in Africa. So people are going all over the place. They're going to Europe, they're going to North America, that's the US and Canada. Now, having their children settle into the new system is usually challenging. So these children struggle not because they are not academically sound, not because they do not have the savviness to excel, but because they do not have the right support. Now, another thing is their parents are looking to have them connect back to their roots. Now, some parents will tell you, no, I'm not actually, my child is doing okay. We have everything we need, but we don't want them to forget where they're coming from or where we are coming from, right? Especially for kids who were born here and taken, over there to, other countries. So I think that if LBA ceases to exist today, our parents would miss that home. So I'm calling it home. They would, that feeling of, there's something that connects us back to our roots. I think that's going to be something really significant. So I'll give you an example. In the literature class, for instance, or English language class, you can do an essay or you can tell a child to write a prose. Lagos, Nigeria. Now, how do you even help them get through this process? You show videos. So they see, this is Lagos, this is a Danfo, this is a yellow bus, this are Agberos, this is on the bridge. So they see things like that. They see third mainland bridge. So all of these things gives them a nostalgic feeling. Now, I hear some of the kids in my class say to me, "Oh, Miss Stephanie, I want to come to Nigeria." Or somebody tells me, "Oh, Miss Stephanie," I say, "Oh, do you know Ibadan?" Somto would say, "Oh, Miss Stephanie, my mom is from Ekiti, but I mean, we came to Ibadan. We're coming to Lagos this summer." So things like that. It's very experiential for them, right? So having somebody who serves as a link to a memory they once had or a memory they long to have, I think that's a big plus for us at LBA. Yes, so I hope that that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. And you placed a large emphasis on the cultural aspect, not just for the children, but also for the parents. Now, on the children's side, does the cultural aspect, does it also help them academically? Have you seen some data that shows that it's also helpful on that side of things?
Okay, so I'd give you, so I'd like to talk with a lot of experiences, right?
Yeah.
Things that I have seen on the job. So for summer now, parents have reached out to say, "Look, we don't want the conventional stuff. Can you please do Nigerian languages?"
Okay.
So they're asking for us to do Igbo, do Hausa, do Yoruba. We've now had requests for Hausa. We've had 2 requests for Igbo and Yoruba. Now, this particular parent lives in the UK. She's Igbo, her husband is Yoruba. So she says, "Oh, you have to help me. Oh, we don't speak." I mean, there's an intertribal marriage thing happening there. So which side do you even stick with? So now that is something. Then I give you the another story of another parent, Mr. Fakuridi. He was very specific. They live in Canada. And he says, "Oh, well, the child's name is Ayafoluwa." It says, "Ayafoluwa doesn't really have academic issues per se. Help us to just keep him at par. But I want him to experience the structure and the rigor of the Nigerian system." Right. Now, to your question about data, I do not have any data readily that I can point to for us, especially at LBA, in terms of, how has this method helped us? No, we haven't done that yet because, I mean, we're in a very nascent growing stage right now. So we haven't done that. But speaking from what I have experienced, and I'll tell you something now. For me, as a mother to 4 young children, and from tutoring for 3 years now, doing online tutoring, I have seen that identity, having the right self awareness, having the right perception of oneself is something that helps a child to learn properly. Now, I'll share another experience. I tutor a young man who was born in Canada. His parents migrated 10 years ago before Japa even became a thing, right? And for this particular kid of mine, he will be turning 7 in August. He is the only Black kid in his class. So his mother and I became friends. Funnily, we discovered that we had grown up in Kaduna together, but we didn't know. We just started talking one day, and she's like, "Oh, you went to this school?" I'm like, "Oh, that was close to my school." So we discovered that, oh, we actually grew up together, but we didn't know. So we became close. And then one day she shared with me and said, "Steph, I think that my son is being bullied." So I said, "Okay, tell me more about that." So she explained how once in a while he comes back crying. She also explained that, she had been called in 1 or 2 times, and she talked about feeling heartbroken. Now you're in a system where it feels like you're against the world. And she talks about feeling heartbroken and wishes that there was something she could do. Now, because of that pain, she's writing a book for to help parents who have black kids, black boys, raising the black boy in a setting that is alien to him, sort of, right? So that's also something that tells me that if the child has a right picture of who he is, then he would be able to settle into learning appropriately and assimilate what is being taught. But if a child doesn't have the right emotional regulation, where they feel like they are in an environment that doesn't support, what they're taking in, then there could be a real problem there. You get the point?
Yeah.
Now, there's another child I have in Finland. She's a girl, right? And she has issues with attention span and all of that. So when they brought home their report for last term, the mom shared with me, and one of the issues that the mother complained about was that the child's teacher kept complaining that the child didn't have a lot of focus in class. So now she was leaning into me as an African mom and saying, "Oh, Miss Steph, so what do you think we can do? How can we develop a homegrown system or situation to help this child?" Again, that child is the only black kid in that class. You see that? So having or helping these children settle into, look, the fact that you're different from these other people is not a problem. You're all the same. Skin is just, it's just that skin color. That's all right. But in terms of mental capacity, there's really no difference between all of you. And you can do better. You can be the best person there. Right. So I'm going to now try to wrap it up and answer your question straight. Yes, I believe that giving the kids a cultural awareness, letting them know that, oh, you're from a great place. Nigeria is a wonderful place. Nigeria is a great place. Africa, oh, you can talk about all of these things to give them a sense of belonging. So they feel like they're not just floating somewhere in the world, but they have a real link back to, their roots. So yes, I'll give another, allegory. The late Miles Monroe, I listened to one of his messages on purpose and identity, and he talked about the fact that why do people wear FUBU? Why does somebody wear Sean John? Why do you wear Givenchy? It is somebody's name. Why? People are looking for identity, something to latch onto, right? So when you struggle with a sense of identity, every other thing on the outside will not make sense. So yes, being culturally rooted is important for people, important for children, important for adults. And I think that, yes, it does help children learn even, at LBU.
All right. Now, there's a couple questions I had, but before I get back to those, since they're a bit more general, the company, you said you're relatively recent. So when did you start and how? What was the impetus behind?
Okay, so LBA is under a year. We're entering our 8th month now, but I have been tutoring for 3 years, like I said. So while tutoring on this other brand, I noticed a few things that could be done differently, could be done better. I have worked in a physical school here in Nigeria, Abuja, one of the best British style schools. And I have been involved in that process, very intensively, being one of the senior managers. So tutoring on this other brand showed me that, oh, there are things that can be done better. And after a while, human relationships usually could go south. So whenever these moms or maybe parents left this other brand, Usually they wouldn't want to lose the teacher, or they'll say, "Oh, Miss Stephanie, we like your style. Would you want to come and tutor privately?" I mean, I would always say no, because I would not want to breach my terms of contract with this other brand, And if I'd gotten a child from that brand, I would want to just leave it at that. Right. But I kept on thinking. So whenever they came to me like that, I would, maybe recommend them, say, "Oh, the other brands you can check online." So after a while, I just started to think about it, and I said, "Oh, there's something here. This market is actually quite big, and it will be a place to play, and not just play for profit, but for real impact, right?" And then the things I had in my head that I wanted to do: standardization, real learning that was beautiful, that was solid. I saw that was something that we could do. So when I spoke to another person, Mrs. Abubakar, that's her name. She was a principal at my physical school where I worked, and she also was transitioning into something else and looking to go into consultancy. And I spoke with her. Then I spoke with the co-founder, Tosin Beauty, who coincidentally works at the British Council and has a lot of experience with education. So I just told them, I said, "Look, let's do this, but my vision for it is to have the only thing that will make LBA different would be or better in a different way, would be that it would have everything a physical school will have. Only thing is, it will be online. So whatever you needed to do in a physical school that would make parents keep coming back, making referrals, doing everything, talking about your school, we would do it right. So in terms of curriculum development and enrichment, in terms of teaching, so meaning that we would hire the best hands on it. And the teachers we have on the brand right now are teachers who have excelled in international exams, whose pupils and students have excelled greatly. Those are the kinds of teachers we have on the brand. And then for everything, in Nigeria, you have to have child safety documents, all of those things. We have them. We got registered with the government, and then, we're just growing organically. So those were the things I set out as my vision for LBA. And those were the things I wanted to do differently. Yeah.
So from what you've said, it seems what I'm getting is you get a lot of referrals. So parents go and then talk to other individuals. I wanted to ask about that before you talked about it, because for a physical school, maybe it's within the neighborhood. People are passing in front. They see the child needs a school, and so they go there. But in your case, is there any sort of marketing you've also had to add in the background to ensure that you actually get enough people who come back to you, since it's online and people may not necessarily have that instinct to first go online when we're thinking about Africa to look for a service?
Absolutely. So, referrals. Now, I've discovered again that referrals work for both online business and offline business. So, for the school I worked at here in Abuja, because I was directly handling the admission process, and we grew exponentially. And I remember the owner, the director of the school, would always tell me, she would say, "Stephanie, let's just do our job. Let's make sure that our products are very good." They would be the ones to announce the school, and that really is true. So for LBA, I wanted to have the same model. So yes, referrals. We've had 4 children come into LBA. As a matter of fact, they're starting this August, and it was referral from a parent. She referred 2 parents who have 2 children. So that's how they're coming, onto the brand. For the second thing we're doing digital marketing. I mean, we cannot do without digital marketing. So you found us on LinkedIn. We're on Facebook. We are on Instagram. We got our first Instagram parents last week. They live in the UK, and then in the form we have a form that you fill. How did you hear about us? Instagram, and it was very refreshing. We also have our website. We do sponsored ads. Like I said, we're growing. Organic growth is important to us because that means that people see real value, and then they can stay and they can tell other people. So that's just what we're doing. We're trying to do everything on our own part to get it right. So quality education, good quality education, as in it should be that what you're getting from LBA is not something you can get anywhere else. Even for international exams, IGCSE, all of those things, we're keeping our game tight and doing everything that we need to do to sell and to scale. So yes, we're going organically. Referrals, yes, because we're doing the right thing with the kids who come to us, and then of course we're doing digital marketing.
Yeah. You just spoke of quality education, and earlier on you spoke about a parent who said they liked the rigor. They wanted to make sure that the same rigor that's usually gotten in Nigeria is something that their children could get abroad. And on your website, I also saw a sentence that was quite interesting. You said parents worried that their children might lose the strong academic foundation they had built back home. So when you're comparing, let's say, some of our systems with systems in, let's say, European countries or in Northern America, how do they compare, in your opinion?
Okay, so the international system is a system that promotes an out-of-the-box thinking. You cannot take that away. China, for instance, encourages children to do hands-on. So they couple things. They know these things from when they're just kids, right? That's a fantastic way to learn. For children in the UK, Canada, US, the Montessori system, they use their hands. But Nigerian parents, they complain and say, "Oh, Miss Steph, it's too slow. Look at what they're teaching them." So, it's funny, right? A child, even though we condemn it and say, why should you start teaching a child in nursery school how to count? You're supposed to learn sounds. You're supposed to, just sing nursery rhymes and have it easy. Why are you rushing them into learning? We have that, in short, for age, here in Nigeria, because moms have to work. I started dropping my child at a year, 8 months. The school insisted that she would go to pre-nursery at a year 8 months. So you see how early that was. But abroad, you can't even go till maybe year 5, 6, right? That's when you start proper school. So you see that our kids get sunk into the system early enough, and then you just keep pushing them. Now, I appreciate the hands-on, especially for early years. So you have the early years foundation stage learning, right? It's fantastic. And it is what most Nigerian schools are beginning to adopt now for early years: sound, phonics, recognition of letters, of numbers, a lot of playing and singing along. And that's very good for children. Knowledge and understanding of the world, KUTW. You have the PSED, personal, social, and emotional development of the child. You have things that help them with their motor skills, right? Grip and all of those things happen in early years. I love that system for early years. But when you now move on to lower primary school, you have to now take it a notch higher. So for schools abroad, the lower primary still looks somewhat like early years, right? So here, maybe a child in Nigeria would already be able to do 1 to 500 in primary 1. But a child abroad is probably still, they're taking it easy and they're still doing maybe 1 to 50. You see that? So what I do in my own class is this. I ask the parents, and many of them, if you don't even ask, they volunteer. The system over there gives like a newsletter, or they even give you the curriculum. So I say that what I'm teaching I has to be in step with the school,
Yeah.
but then I go a notch higher now, and then I backtrack so that they are not totally lost. It has to be very systemic. So, what are they learning in school right now? Let's say they're doing in numeracy, that's math. They're doing recognition of numbers 1 to 10. Now, I know that this child has the capacity for more. So, I can do 1 to 50 to just stretch them. But from time to time, I keep coming back to what they are learning presently in class. But you see that, over time, oh, they've even gone past that. So their mothers will usually say, "Oh, Steph, thank you for what you're doing. Can you stretch midday further?" Oh, okay, So we have that feedback, and usually they do very well. That system I discovered works very well because the teacher, my assumptor, would tell me, "Oh," she said, "Oh, Miss Stephanie." So I taught her something, and we're done it, and then she did it like maybe 3 weeks later in school, and she said, "Miss Stephanie, guess what?" I said, "What?" She said, "We did so. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, but already did." She said, "Miss Stephanie, yes, I told my teacher that my Nigerian teacher already taught me." And that made me really happy. So I'm like, "Oh, you say that? That means that you knew this way before everybody did." And she said, "Yes, you know." Then she said, "I told my teacher about you." So those things are very comforting. It shows you that you're doing the right thing, right? So those are some of the experiences that I had. So the systems, in comparison, there's a lot of rigor here, even though we don't advise. In the school I used to work, they'll say, don't do lecture method. Don't lecture kids. Bring them into the learning. Draw learning out of them. Let them participate. Let them give their own opinions. Don't just teach them. Don't just talk at them. No, you have to allow them assimilate so they can give you back. Right. So there's a lot of that back home in Africa, but I think it is getting better because there's a market, and that's the market of international education. That's the market of Montessori education. That's the market of a fused Niger-British curriculum education. You see all of that. So if any school is not having that perk, they stand the risk of losing out. So there's a very good fusion, even though I'm not sure that the educational board has agreed to have this thing, but yes, it happens, right? So I like the critical and analytical reasoning of education abroad, how that it helps you to do things on it brings you in, right? So yeah, that is there. I think for higher education, that's a very fantastic way. But for younger kids, now you have to support them. So they play a lot. The parents complain, "Oh, they're just playing. Oh, look at what they're doing." So you have to now give them structure. You have to be firm and to say, "No, you can do this. No, you can write this. No, you can do more than this." You see that? And a parent told me something that I've never forgotten, and I think I found it very instructive. So she shared with me the curriculum so the child this September we're going into year 4. So she sent me the materials, and then she said, "Miss Adejoke, this is what they will be learning." But she said, "Look, there's no challenge here, because even if you don't do well academically, the system gives you an option. So there's really no stress like, oh, I have to." No, they don't do that. There's something for everyone. If you say you don't want to go to school, no, good and fine. You want to do something else, the system allows you to thrive regardless. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
So she said, my child doesn't feel like they want to be competitive. So that is what I need you to do. Let them feel like they need to have a competitive edge. Then she told me right from when we started that I need this child to be eligible for scholarships. So this is what I need you to do for them. I need you to push him so that he's eligible for scholarships. in the future. So something that is futuristic, we're already laying the foundation now. So you see that. So in terms of the rigor, the structure, so you come to class, I still send you homework, I send you reading assignments, I send you worksheets. That rigor, yes, we try to give it to them. Even though you can say, oh, it's not the same thing, but I mean, still in that very structured way online. Because when you send worksheet through the Google Classroom, you say, oh, and then you give a timeline for submission, you give them projects and say, okay, you've got to submit this to me. And then you put the parents in copy. You say, oh, hey, ma'am, sir, kindly help me make sure, supervise that they're doing the right thing. So you see that rigor of getting them to do their tasks, their activities, and to stay committed to it. I think that it is one of the beauties of the Nigerian system that really, really maybe over there is not as enforced. And parents are busy. Many are working 2 jobs. They're not available. They can't even give that tight or close monitoring. So this online class is where they can get that better alternative.
Yeah. And one of the reasons I was asking the question is because personally, in my case, I've gone through, let's say, both systems. And I felt, for example, that once I was done with my secondary school and I went for university in the United States, I felt like the first 2 years were essentially just revision of many things that we had already seen when we finished with secondary school. But then at the same time, I also felt that some of the things that they got were maybe things that had to do a little more with practicals. And so on that side, they had a little more, but on the theoretical side, we had a little more. So like you said, it feels like a fusion. It's something that's really nice. I almost feel like it would be nice to, let's say, it would have been nice to like start in the Nigerian system, like for the first half, like primary school, and then secondary school in the American system, and then the bachelor's back in the Nigerian system, and masters of PhD over there. It feels like that sort of mixture is something that would work because you're able to get the best of both worlds. You're able to get the structure at first, but then eventually you don't forget about the creative side, and then you get the theory. But on the practical side, at the master's and PhD level, it makes more sense to be in a place where you have larger labs and you can learn a lot more. So that's one of the reasons why I was asking the question to see if in your case you also thought it's something that could be interesting. Now on the, yes?
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. I love the way you stratified, how this could work. And it's really beautiful fusion. Again, but I think what can mitigate against that, immigration laws, if it were just easy to go, come,
Sure.
live here, go, it would have made a lot of sense. Like, oh, I'm done with primary school, I go and then I come back. It would have just been so nice. But, there are lots
True.
of challenges surrounding that.
True.
Yeah.
Now, going back to the business side of things, you started, did you get any funding to begin or did you have to start? How were the beginnings? How did things grow?
I had to use our money. I was still using our money.
All right.
Yeah, this is Africa. People don't, you have to hustle.
Yep.
So yeah, we had to use our money. We've had to, so we have a team. So we have the head of school. Like I said, I wanted things to be properly done. So there's a proper head of school and principal. That's Mrs. Abubakar. Then we had to hire the social media manager. We had to hire an admin person.
Yeah.
We wanted it to be professional, right? And then, the teachers, of course, we have teachers who get their own pay from tutoring, right? But, these other people that we had to hire, we needed to pay, or we need to pay them. Then for meaning that the founder, like me, CEO and founder, and then the co-founder were not taking any monies for now. So that's what we have to sacrifice because
Yeah.
really we don't even have it. Then we have to do ads. Social media marketing or digital marketing is not cheap if you want the kind of visibility that you need. So that's also something that takes money. You have to, I mean, there's a website thing there. If you want to get the best of digital tools, you have to pay.
Yes.
So those are real issues, right? Yes. Then you have to buy data. You have to use internet. You have to jump into meetings. We just reached out. Then you have to take initiatives. So a young man was talking. Just put it on LinkedIn. He works with Tony Lumelu, his holdings, one of their conglomerates. And he said, oh, he's looking to mentor young businesses in Africa, And he asked for 10 businesses or what people to reach out. I'm not sure 10, but we reached out and, that's how we got, like he's now our consultant.
Okay.
And we just started to have that relationship. Now, if we had to pay for something like that, we probably would be paying millions. But this person graciously just said, oh, I want to mentor young growing businesses. So that was really good for us. So then there are other things that we have to do with money. So we've not gotten any funding from anyone. No, we've had to use personal funds. That's what we're still doing, and keep praying and hoping that the business grows to a scalable level where it can run itself and become profitable. Because again, we have something called DCI. It's an initiative that we want to run for rural schools in Nigeria, underserved communities in Nigeria. And we want to pilot with the Middle Belt, the North, where you have a lot of out of school children or schools that are not innovative enough. So we want to use LB, that's the bigger picture. LB is supposed to be like a feeder system that gives this kind of quality education to these schools. So we've begun the process of identifying the schools because we want to have data-driven solutions. So we've begun the process of identifying the schools and saying, okay, where do we want to start the pilot phase from? And how do we want to do it? So, for instance, the picture is to have, I'm in Abuja now, I can be teaching from my workstation here, but I'm feeding maybe a particular school in my hometown, Egbe, and then there's a projector, they have everything there, then there's a teacher supervising that process and then helping, to distill. So we're looking, for something like that, we need the resources, we need the equipment, we need to pay teachers. So that's a long-term goal. So to your question, funding, we're self-funding and getting the business to just run by itself on its own to a scalable level. Again, we're young, so we're hoping that by God's grace, we're going to see a lot more growth in the new school year from the inquiries that we've had so far and from everything that we have seen happening in the last 1 month.
Yeah. And the program you just spoke about, is that something that, how do I put that? Is it something that's like financed by the government and you're getting payments to do that, or how does it work?
No, so we want to run it as a non-profit organization.
Okay.
Yes, so if we get support and partnerships and collaborations from maybe other NGOs who are into education, if the government wants to support, why not, right? But, people want to see you drive an initiative before they buy into it.
In. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to kick off the process by ourselves. We actually started to apply for accelerator programs and grants and all, but none has come through. But we're hoping that if they see the the beauty of this initiative, then they can key into it.
Okay, so you've started applying for some accelerator programs, potential grants. What has been the how will I put it, the feedback you've been getting, or have you been discussing? Have you had the opportunity to discuss with some potential funders, like face to face? What's the feedback you've been getting?
We've gotten a lot of we're sorry, we're sorry, we're sorry. We're sorry, we apologize due to the volume of applications. We're sorry we could not offer you a place. I mean, it's very distressing.
Yeah.
But one startup, the startup Abuja, they told us, oh, we're in. They wanted to, I mean, but it's not monetary, just to maybe mentor, guide on how to scale. Yeah, so that one was good. Was comforting. That okay, there's a yes here, right? Even though there's no to cushion all the no's.
Yeah.
Sorry, I mean, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's common with a lot of startups. You get lots of no's when you apply, especially because there are so many others that are applying for the same exact opportunities. And so it can be
Absolutely.
sometimes a bit frustrating. But I think over time,
Absolutely.
the more you put your name out there, also, the higher the chances of eventually getting what it is that you're looking for. In some situations, from even places you had not thought of, but that somehow just show
Right.
up. Yeah.
I hope that something better or something fantastic comes through soon.
Yeah. I think like you're going in the right direction in the sense that for most, it's the best thing is to focus on growing and getting new customers. Because at the end of the day, it's the customers. If you have enough customers, you actually don't need to be waiting for grants or any sort of external funding, because all the funding will essentially be brought in by those who are already working with you. So that's actually the most important thing to be doing. Sometimes people forget that, and then they over focus on the funding. And the issue with that is you can feel down at some points because you're so focused on that, while forgetting that the small amount of money that you're getting from each and every customer on the side is actually what's going to allow you to grow the fastest. And also, another issue with grants is when you're giving a grant, there's always that, will I say power, but there's always that feeling that you kind of have to listen to the guidelines of those who are giving you the funding. But if it's your own money and it's coming from parents, it's coming from customers, all you need to do is listen to the users and the clients and then figure out what they want. And as long as you give it to them, you keep growing and you keep developing. Yeah.
Right.
So let's go into a magical world, and let's say that you got funding tomorrow. What would you be placing it into? What are some of the things you think are really important, urgent, that you'd need to take care of?
Lovely. So we would like to have an automated and centralized teaching system.
All right.
So, for instance, now I have an unlimited link. I teach with Google Meet. So once I pay, I do my Google One subscription. It carries me.
Yeah.
So you don't have the problem of it's ending in an hour.
Yeah.
But so I would like to see. I know there are some other online schools that have an automated system that all their teachers just are logged on to, and then they teach from there. So I'd like to see a centralized automated system that allows our teachers to be supported, and they don't even have to worry about data or or the technicalities of what they're doing. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see a uniformity in our curriculum development, so that we know that we have an enriched system and across board our kids in the different classes, early years, lower primary, upper primary, junior secondary, senior secondary are getting, we know the quality. Of course, right now we know, but I know as we get bigger, we need to have, we need to monitor closely for quality assurance. So that's something that I'd like to see. I would actually love for us to be able to develop our own curricula, so that we have a perfect blend of the rigor that our parents want and the out of the box and analytical fusion of the international, curricula. So I would like to see something like that. Yeah. And an app. Yes, I would want LBA to have an app that caters to the needs of parents. So whether you want to make inquiry, whether you want to follow up on the classroom, whether you want to make payments, everything you want to do, it should be user friendly. It should have a beautiful user experience, and it should be so seamless and stressless. Yes. Yeah. So those, and then maybe a data bank that would have questions for children to be able to prepare for exams, as a continuous support system for them, even while they are not, learning with you in class. They can
Yeah.
always make reference to their materials. So yeah, just a better system that works,
Yeah.
that is limitless, that is standardized, that is world class, and is able to cater to the pinpoints of each parent that comes to help you.
Yeah. And one thing that's interesting with these systems is in some cases you have some that are open source and are free. I guess the thing is you need someone on your team that's a bit more technologically inclined and knows how to set those up, but there are ways of doing that. Maybe one thing also that could be interesting is since when you take university, so in Benin, where I am, I work with, let's say, an NGO where we partner with universities to try and push their students to have final year projects that they can develop into businesses. Now, one thing that I
Oh,
was thinking as you were discussing is if there are universities in the area, it could be interesting to, let's say, have some partnerships with them where you propose final year projects to individuals in their final year so that some of those things that they propose are things that eventually they could offer you probably at prices that are a lot cheaper than maybe what you get at the international level. And so it helps you, it also helps the students at the same time, which of course is good for them, is also good for you. And I think building partnerships with universities is also interesting in the sense that once individuals are done with your school and let's say they're interested in doing something else or going to the next level, there's always that link and you could help them by having fostering those sorts of relationships. Maybe it's something you
right.
could potentially look into. Because sometimes one thing that I've realized with many of the students in universities is when they're finishing, they don't necessarily know what to do. And so they spend a lot of time wondering what their
Fine.
final project is going to be, in what direction they may go. But
Yeah.
they don't have that link to businesses to know what they could set up today that if they're done with, a business could buy and run with. So it could also be an interesting path potentially to try and go into. So
Absolutely.
in general, if there's one last thing you had to share with anyone listening to this podcast, what would it be?
I would want to. So I read something yesterday, no, 2 days ago. No, I didn't read it. It was a reel I saw. on Instagram, and the lady was talking about education. And she was talking about the fact that online learning, or what we're doing right now, is taking away from children. Now, children get to be on their iPads, laptops, they're not relating with the natural environment enough. And she's saying that, look, this is not supposed to be long term. But how did we even get here? It was COVID. COVID brought this possibility.
Yeah.
Now, I've been thinking about that for the last 2 days and thinking and asking myself, what is the future? I don't have the answer right now. If you're not going to mess with children's attention span, if you don't want to get them on your systems and like that all the time in the name of learning, what is the next best thing to do? What is the next best intervention? Now, never mind the fact that I am in this business right now, and this is like, this works for me, right? But I'm looking past profit making. I'm looking past this moment to say, what is that sustainable next thing in the EdTech industry? Because technology is evolving. It's not stopping. You're just going and going and going. So is it really possible not to have this? And what is the better option? Then I remember while I was still working in a physical school, we had a training once, and we saw a video by Jack Ma, Alibaba founder. And we asked Jack Ma that, what is the future of education? And he started by speaking rhetorically, and he said, are you ever going, ask Robertson, are you ever going to be stronger than a robot? Do you think you'd ever be stronger than a robot?
I hope so.
Will Robertson now be able to work in a factory in China and fix 1 million things in a second?
No,
yeah, probably not. You never. But robots can do that now. I mean, you not even have robots who I saw one yesterday, human companion. You can even kiss them and be with them. You see that. So he now said, no, you're never going to be stronger. You're never going to be able to do more work. But he said, we now have to think outside the box. What is that thing that robots cannot do? And then he said, focus on the arts, focus on the emotions, focus on humanity. Now, I am paraphrasing. It's been maybe over 6 years or 7 that I saw the video. So he said music, but now even AI is getting into music.
Yes.
Right? So that, he said music, the arts. You even have digital arts now. Said the arts, music. And he said empathy, compassion, the things that no machine will be able to give you. You've got to focus on that. And I've never forgotten that. So I'll wrap up with this. When my kids come to class, right? There's, Miss Stephanie, I miss you. Or sometimes says to me, Miss Stephanie, you're the best teacher. I love you. That thing. I remember Midday and his sister. So every time they come to class, he says to me, Miss Adejoke, Tara wants to say hi. So she comes to the video and I say, my beautiful Tara, I'm happy to see that she's happy, Then, they write me messages and say, Miss Adejoke, you're the best. Miss Adejoke, I love you. You see those things. Or if someone comes to my class and she's crying and saying, Miss Stephanie, Mommy doesn't want me to have this. Mommy doesn't like me. I'm like, no, you cannot say that. So I say, okay, calm down and tell me what the problem is. And then she tells me. And then I said, you feel better now? She says, no, I don't feel better. and I wait. So you see, beyond teaching, beyond even with me there, I remember how his mom was so thankful that he used to be afraid of math. I mean, she asked me, "What did you do differently?" I said, "Nothing. I didn't do anything differently. I just have learned to be patient and calm and to just be me in the classes." You get it? So the humanity that comes to play in this online classes go a long way. I'm a writer, so I write about some of these experiences, how love can actually just creep up on you in the most unlikely places. And one of the places you can feel love and warmth across these cold gadgets is in an online class.
Yeah. And while it's true, this was supposed to be my last question, but when you went into it, one question that came to mind is, what are your thoughts on AI?
Oh gosh, that's a scary thing, man. I I have many issues with AI. I'm a creative writer,
Mm-hmm.
but now you see that it's competing with you, man.
Yeah.
So, but what I do, like I use Chat GPT to brainstorm. I say, "Hey, Chat, I'm working on so. How do you think I can go about it?" So you can use it to enhance the work you do,
Yeah.
but please, it's never to be used as a replacement for you. Boy, it's been everywhere. So if you're on your email, you see suggestion by Grammarly saying, "Help me write, refine." I mean,
Yeah.
you're like, WhatsApp is saying, ask. I mean, I don't need to. People even reply Facebook comments, with it. I mean, no.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't take over your
Yep.
life. It should just be used to enhance your work and not become another you, where you don't even know if it's your thought here or something else. I think that we're all beginning to sound alike.
True.
The nuances, the buzzwords, there's just a lot going on. So for me again, so I besides working as a tutor at LBA or as the founder of LBA, I'm actually a journalist. I'm an editor with a national daily here in Nigeria. So I see this thing at play every day in the work that I
Everywhere.
do. Yeah, so
Yep.
getting stories, attributions, even image, now that you have deep fakes, you have to now be sure, is this video real? Did this thing really happen? Did they say this? Is this AI?
Yeah.
It's so hyper real now that you're struggling. Yeah. News reports now all sound the same. So it's a real battle.
Yeah,
Then you
it's
have to now
everywhere.
think it's everywhere. The fact that, AI is even beginning to transcend. Like now, the creators are losing control over their creation. So that's another thing to worry about. So it looks like, Terminator 2 is going to happen to you soon.
Hopefully
So-
not. And with AI and students and pupils, do you have some issues in that area with some of them trying to use AI for homeworks or things of that nature?
No.
No.
I've not dealt with that at all because my kids are. I tutor right now. I tutor kids in the 5 to 9 year age
All right.
gap.
Okay.
So they are still, we still do a lot of handwriting and I guide.
Mhm.
But we had a staff meeting at LBA 2 days ago, and the head of school who teaches literacy commented that she has noticed that one of the kids gives perfect answers. He never misses. But she now said, but I noticed that when I'm talking to him, he's not looking at me, he's typing. So she suspects that he's probably asking ChatGPT. So the suggestion we reached was that we're going to write the parents to say, please, we need this young man monitored while classes are on to be sure he's getting the best. So you see, there's just a lot going on around them. But with my own children, because they are young, they, no, I haven't had that. But with
it's
the
not
older
an issue.
kids in school,
And I think there are also, yeah.
With my own kids at home, so my kids come back and then they want to do ChatGPT for homework. And I say, no, you can't do that. And they say, Mommy, the school didn't give this textbook. So I have, in short, it's been a constant battle between me and the school to say, no, I want my kids to have the rigor of going to search a textbook for stuff, not that they just go to Gemini, ChatGPT, Cloud, and they have no. So I've had that conversation with them in the last 1 year. And for this new school year, I'm going to try to make sure that even when the school doesn't give certain textbooks, I will get them on my own.
Yeah.
Just to ensure that my kids are looking at physical books and not depending on technology.
Yeah, I feel like over time exams will probably have to become like oral exams or something of that nature, because you need to actually see the person, you need to hear the person speak to you to know that they didn't just go on ChatGPT and then get the answers. Although, like you also said, it's an interesting tool even for learning. I mean, the way I sort of see it in some situations is, as long as you're not using it to do all the thinking, and you can do all the thinking and planning behind, then it can help you fill out some spaces. Or if you're trying to learn, it's the same as having, let's say, someone that you call for potential advice, so that they can tell you, I think this is interesting, I think that is interesting, but you still have to have your own thinking in the background to guide you. If not, eventually, well, it's just going to tell you up is down and down is up, and you'll just follow it till the end of the world.
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree.
All right.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks for the time, for taking the time to speak with us today. Hopefully we can have another time to talk more when you get to the next level. As soon as those funders come in, you can come and tell us how you were able to get them. That way others can learn also.
I'll be happy to share.
All right.
Thank you very much, Robert. I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks a bunch. Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Bye for now. Yeah.